Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and I'm an expert in being myself. I love sharing my thoughts, opinions, advice, experience, perspectives. It's what I do. But one size does not fit all, so if it doesn't quite work in your life, well, you may need to better contextualize, or at least take what it is I'm saying with a grain of salt. If you can eat salt, and it's okay. I love salt. I'm salty. Sometimes, more frequently than others. So I got a question, came in from a member of the community, and you know I like prioritizing questions asked by you because you're the one who's listening to me, and so I want to give you my my best attention as opposed to just throwing it out to the world and guessing what people want to hear. Ms. Liz asked, I would say, not a loaded question, but a question that is packed with nuance, and a question that I feel I have the experience to answer. Because let me tell you, I've been around on this planet for 48 years now, and in many of those years, I have been married. The question, specifically and exactly, what is your number one rule to a successful marriage? My immediate response is knowing that it's not about love. And I know that's the answer you were expecting to hear. What? It's not about love. What do you mean? That's all it is, right? No. That love is for greeting cards in the flower industry, right? And I'm not saying that romance has nothing to do with it. I am saying that there are things that are far more fundamental to a successful relationship. I mean, there are many people that I feel I love, but I would never want to be in a relationship with, nor could I be, right? Love is a glue that may keep us together in the tough times, if only because we know that our relationship is strong enough to weather those low points. So I thought a bit about this and was ideating in the live video on Twitch tonight as I'm streaming this response live right now. And I wanted to say, it's about communication initially, beyond knowing that it wasn't love. It was about communication because it's critical. You got to be able to communicate. You got to know where someone stands on something. You got to know that what they're saying is something that you can believe in. Someone that you can believe. And to be able to be precise without having to dance around. I tend to be a lot more direct with my communication. I tend not to flower things up. I don't have a lot of time. I have a very busy day, and if I know what I feel, I have no problem communicating it. Let me put it this way. One could never accuse me of being passive aggressive. If anything, I am assertive. Some people confuse assertiveness with aggressiveness, and those two are different things, by the way. So communication is a part of it, but I don't think it's it. I don't think it's the number one rule. I think the number one rule is far more basic and also all-encompassing of all of these skills that I believe you need, or at least need to build, and that may take time. So patience is important. And that's something that goes bilaterally. Like, you can't be, patient with your partner and then they're not patient with you. It won't work. That will not work. I'm not even saying it's got to be 50-50, but I'm saying you have to have patience because they're not always going to be on the same page. They don't have the same life experiences you do. I don't care what you've got in common with them. In fact, it's probably more important to know what you don't have in common with someone. See, Diana and we don't like sports. That's a bond. Did you hear what I'm saying? So you think, we bond on the things that we agree upon. Well, sometimes that's not as important as knowing what you don't like, and you don't like certain things together. Trust me, you think about all those things inside your own relationships, whether you're married or not. No, I think the number one rule, the all-encompassing rule, is something that I believe people forget. And this is something that I've learned over time. I have honed over time, and I come back to constantly. You are a team. The number one rule is to remember that you are a team. Period. That does not mean you're always going to agree, because you won't. That does not mean your relationship's destroyed. Because if you think that you're going to agree with someone 110% of the time, you're going to have a challenge in any relationship. Any relationship. Nor do I think that it means that you have to placate your partner. I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of, yes, dear. No, I don't buy into that. Sorry, not going to come from me. Because that's not fair. That's not anywhere near realistic. Like, this is not this someone is better than the other type of scenario, or at least I don't believe it should be to be healthy. The number one rule in a good relationship is understanding you are on a team. This does not mean that you're both CEO. It won't work. Every person in that relationship, or should I say each person in that relationship, is going to be playing their own role. They're going to have their own thoughts, opinions, backgrounds, perspectives, and ways of doing something. You're going to have differences. You're going to have similarities. But you're on a team. So you're driving towards a goal, or maybe a series of goals together. And I'm not saying you have to sit down and, outline your goals, but to have a better idea as to whether or not you are in alignment on your goals, that's critical. I mean, relationships fail because goal alignment is off. Some couples, get together and then they realize, one wants to have children, the other one doesn't, or maybe they both do, and then one changes their mind. I mean, that's a goal that they no longer share, and that can undo a relationship. Because your goals are going to change. I've said this before too. How many times have I said, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, certainly 40 years ago. I'm not the same person I was at 8 years old, nor 18. And if your relationship stands the test of time, you will have seen changes. And hopefully encourage changes that serve to improve the stability of the relationship, the stability of the individual, and the self-awareness of each person. It's not something that I think many people think about when they enter into a relationship, because they're blinded by love, and they're in what are the chemicals inside the body that get released? The endorphins and is it the serotonin and all that? Not the kind of advice I am qualified to give. I can tell you I've fallen in love before, and when those chemicals wear off, all you're left with is another person. And then you got to figure out, why am I with this other person? Well, if you don't want to be on a team, it's going to be obvious. And you're going to start acting like you don't want to be on a team. So I can sit here and tell you the things that I do on a daily basis to ensure that this team that I am on is working, is functional. I make sure that things happen. I make sure that certain responsibilities occur and take place and are managed. That's my role. I'm not going to outline every single thing that I do, but I make sure they happen. Because that's critical. Because if I didn't do it, someone else would have to be responsible for it. If I didn't do something critical for the safety and security of this family would have a very difficult time staying together. Because the functions that I serve, or the function that I serve, the functions that I complete, however I want to say it, however you should say it, they're critical. And likewise, Diana fulfills certain responsibilities that I can't do, right? That she feels that she wants to manage, or she has to handle. Because remember, if I can't do it, someone else has to. That's it. That's just the way it goes. And if I've got a certain experience that allows me and enables me to do things much more efficiently, and or in a way that makes everything run more smoothly, I mean, that's my role on this team. And everything that goes with it. Team. Understand you are on a team. I've told this to Diana before. In moments of stress, I said, look, Diana, I'm not your enemy. We're on a team. One. People forget that because, they get defensive. They get, they throw up walls. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm going to do things on my own the way that I want to do them. Like, no, you've got to be respectful of the team. Doesn't mean you're going to agree on everything. Doesn't mean you're going to easily come to an agreement. But especially in those moments, you have to remember you're on a team. You have to. If you want to be in any relationship. If you see me getting agitated, it's because so many people it just skips their mind. Communication comes with being on a team. Trust comes with being on a team. Taking care of things comes with being on a team. It's all about the team dynamic. Can't have two CEOs. You're going to have a CEO and a president. You're going to have a president and a vice president. You're going to have a leader and you're going to have a follower. You're going to have a manager and you're going to have a co-manager, right? You're going to, and I'm not saying in totality. The team is in totality, but in terms of certain responsibilities, I take point on certain responsibilities. Diana takes point on other responsibilities. I'm like, in those moments, I make sure the handoff's clear. You're responsible for this. Clear communication. Upfront communication. No guesswork. So you've got to understand that you're going to be with another person because you want to be on their team. And you expect that they're going to tell you the truth and they want to be on your team. It's critical. It's not a one-way street. Because if it's just me going, I want to be on your team, but they're all acting like, no, that's not how it's going to work. That's a great way of knocking out equilibrium. That's not being a team player. So when you're with someone, you're going to run into problems. It's a given. That's not the problem. You're going to run into problems. And don't sit there and say, well, so-and-so over there doesn't. Don't do that because they're in a different relationship, different world, different life. Can't compare. Don't do that. That's wrong. You also can't drag other people's families into your relationship. Don't. Because it's wrong. You've got one team. One team. You have to decide which team you're on. Are you on team you or are you on team us? And approaching things that way is going to lead to a better team dynamic, which is, in my humble opinion, the number one rule to quote-unquote being successful. Because you're working as a team. So back to the problem thing, the problem scenario. You run into a problem. What do? You complain, right? Yeah, this is a problem. I wish blah, 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 yada, yada, anger, fights happen. But what matters most is not that you vent, right? What matters most is not that you express yourself. What matters most is not that you tell them what it is that you believe and what it is you think. Remember, you make I statements. I feel this way. I believe this. I think this. Here's why. The important part of that scenario of discord is moving toward a resolution. Got to do it. Got to fix problems. If you're not interested in fixing problems, don't be on a team. If you're not interested in fixing problems, don't get into a relationship because I guarantee you're going to face problems. Like, maybe there's one or two relationships in the history of time that have never run into problems. In personality dynamics that work better together. Absolutely. I'm confident that exists. But you're still going to have to figure out how to deal with those problems together. And you're never going to be able to deal with the problems unless you can work together towards solutions. Get it? Work towards solutions together. Fix the problem together. The reason why is because the worst thing you could do, especially when something goes wrong and there's a problem, is drag up things from the past. And then, because then it's like, it's mudslinging. Oh yeah, well you, blah, and then remember when you did that, blah, blah. You're not being a team player. You're being the opposite of a team player. You're destroying the structure of the team. You're doing your best in those times to rip things apart. Like, that's what you want. Is that what you want? Or do you want to be on a team? You have to ask yourself that. What do you want? I don't care what you want. I don't. That's for you to answer. But you still have to answer that question. And then all your behaviors are going to be contingent on that. Do you want to be on a team? Not are you willing. This isn't an are you willing scenario. Do you want to be on a team? And are you willing to do what it takes to be on a team? And that does not mean agree. That all the time. Because you're going to disagree. It's going to happen. It's how you handle those disagreements. And work towards a resolution. So it's going to take compromise. It's going to take butting heads, compromise, and working towards the problems. And once the problem is solved, it's done. It's in the past. Relitigating old problems isn't going to get you anywhere. It just wastes time. It wastes energy. And it isn't very constructive at all. It's the opposite of being constructive. If what you want to do is be destructive, if what you want to do is destroy, if what you want to do is ruin, by all means, keep doing the things that you're doing to tear things apart. Keep doing it. We have feelings and emotions. We're different. But the one thing we have in common is being on that team, sharing these common goals, doing things the way that we do them or decide to do them or have to maneuver to do them. And when life throws us a curveball, we got to take that swing together. This is about being a team. You will love and appreciate someone who is on your team because they have done everything, not to say that they're on your team, but to prove by their own behavior and their own actions that they're on your team. But there are a lot of people, I think, that are half-assing this whole team concept. I'm not even naming anybody in particular, but I guarantee that the way relationships play out, that's how it goes. I believe it's about being on a team and going with the flow and knowing the dynamic and knowing your roles and maneuvering and knowing that change is going to happen and dealing with change when it happens and coming to resolutions together, not just creating more problems. Resolutions. And once they're solved, you move on. There's too much other things to worry about. But be a team. That's what you want for success. Tell me how that's not the number one rule. Tell me how everything that you would say, anybody would say, that isn't a byproduct of being on a team. Being on a functional team. A functioning team. With a shared vision. Shared goals. Shared ideals. You're a team. So what are you going to do? Are you going to spend most of your time trying to upend that? Or are you going to try to build it? Yeah. I think love has been romanticized because love may not be enough to get you through the hard times. Being a good team member will. It's give and take. It's not a 50-50. You know, there are certain things I'm 100% responsible for. There are certain things I'm 90% responsible for, right? Certain things I need that I can't do, right? And if Diana can't pick up the slack, it doesn't happen, and vice versa. But you have to be able to be open enough to understand that you're working on something together, and the relationship is not a one and done. It's a constant. In terms of, it's not you sideline it because something else is going on. No, it's a constant. It needs tending. It's like a garden. The only way you're going to get fruits of your labor is if you put something into it. If you put forth a team effort. And when you disagree, come to a compromise. Everyone's different personalities. Yeah, I got strong feelings about this. I got very strong feelings about this because I've got a lot of experience with this, and I can tell you where things have gone south and where they could have and can be corrected. I've been transparent about this with Diana. Nothing I'm saying here is news. She knows how strongly I feel about being a team. She knows. Because I've told her. Going back to the very beginning. You got to be a team player. I know I keep repeating myself, but geez, there's a lot of relationship advice out there, but I'm telling you, a lot of it's byproduct. It comes down to the number one rule. It's like you got to change your attitude before your behavior changes, right? You got to change your attitude. You're a team. See yourself as a team. You chose this teammate. Now, they may have changed. Some of these changes are irrevocable. Some of their missteps are irredeemable. But that's where you have to decide. Is it worth fighting for that team? Do they want to fight? Do you want to fight for the team? Or you just want to fight? Are you fighting for the team? Are you fighting for stability? Or are you fighting for instability? Which one is it? Because you can't do both. I would argue that a lot of fights are for instability. I'm not saying this is my current circumstance, but this is my belief, my fundamental belief, and I hope you're on a good team. And if not, I hope you talk to your partner. Like, I learned something today. That maybe we should think about this. Maybe we should think about thinking about being a team. Let's work towards being a team. Let's change our attitude so that we are a team. We're a team, right? Let's do everything like a team. Doesn't mean we have to do everything together. Doesn't mean we have to do everything apart. Doesn't mean that, again, different roles. Think about all the team dynamics and apply them to your relationship. See where that gets you. I don't know. Feel free to tell me that you have a different number one rule, because your relationships have definitely been different from mine. I'm just telling you, it feels more like success to me when there's a team win to celebrate. It's easier to celebrate your partner's wins when you realize you're working as a team. You feel me? Like everything just goes around a team. Instead of being jealous that something happened, or instead of being upset like that something happened to your partner, right? You're a team. Being upset that my teammate hadn't accomplished, why would I? That's not reasonable. But when it's a team, like you can't. That's not how a good teammate expresses themselves or feels, right? Then they're not on the right team, or they got to work on themselves before they can be on a team. Takes time. You learn over time. You change over time. And hopefully your partner has enough patience. And if you don't have enough patience with your partner who's had more than enough patience with you, you may not realize just how lucky you are. Do they want you to be on a team? Do you want to be on a team with them? Talk to them. Be curious to know what they think. Maybe they think I'm full of hot air. Wouldn't be the first time. Won't be the last. I'm sure Diana will see this and say, "You've never told me that." And I have!